War is a difficult place to find truth, for all too often, when we have a conflict where both sides are seeking international favor for their cause, reality is often muddled somewhere deep in the middle. The phrase war crimes now being tossed about in the battle between Israel and Hamas, with the death toll rising and no real resolution in sight. Welcome to MidPoint, contributing editor to Jewish Ideas Daily and formerly with the Jerusalem Post. Elliot Jager joins us today. Elliot, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure, Ed.
Elliot, how are the people in Israel reacting when they hear the United Nations mention Israel first with the words war crimes and using Hamas's name second?
Well, I think with a certain amount of sardonic humor, because we remember that Ban Ki-moon arrived here in the Middle East on an airplane that was chartered for him by the government of Qatar. And of course, the government of Qatar is bankrolling Hamas. So not a whole lot that the UN does phases the average Israeli in the street. Can I just tell you what's been going on here
Please
today?
do. That was going to be my next line of questioning, please.
It's a surreal and unusual day that we're having here. We just sworn in a new president of the state of Israel. The Shimon Peres has now retired, and all of this has happened at a sort of very low-key parliamentary ceremony because there's a war going on, and Peres, of course, began the process of trying to reconcile with the Palestinian Arabs through the Oslo Accords back in 1993. And it's particularly sad for him because he's a man who has struggled for peace, and yet today he finishes his term betrayed by the Palestinians who he so much wanted to embrace for peace. So that's the sort of what's been going on in the background. Literally, as I came on the air, the new president, Reuven Rivlin, has taken over. He's appealed to the Arabs, both the Arab Israeli citizens as well as the Arab neighbors, reminding them that his father was friends, his father, who was born in Jerusalem, was friends with some of the Arab leaders, and he promised them that there would one day be peace among the Arabs and the Jews. And Rivlin said how sad it was that we hadn't reached that point yet. So that's a little bit of the sort of poignant time that we're in, with Israeli troops fighting in the Gaza Strip, and with a new president coming into office, I think for the first time in Israeli history, at literally a time when the nation is at war. So that's a little bit of what's going on.
I only have about 20 seconds left here. Is there a feeling in Israel that John Kerry will be able to do anything effective?
Well, the most effective thing John Kerry could frankly do is to please go home and take care of business that needs to be done in Washington, D.C., because the Israeli army needs more time to do what it's got to do in the Gaza Strip. And it's probably going to need another week, maybe 2 weeks. And now is not a great time for a ceasefire. And the paradox is that that's the one thing that just about everybody understands and agrees. Now, Israel would agree to a ceasefire if it was a humanitarian ceasefire and requested, but frankly, it's not really in our military interest at this stage to engage in a ceasefire with Hamas, which continues to...
Okay, Elliot, I'm going to have to call it there. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much. Now, an American Moment.
It took 34 years to build. But on August 15, 1914, the Panama Canal was officially opened for business and was quickly crowned one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. The 51-mile-long and 10-mile-wide canal was originally begun by the French, but abandoned after 9 years and the loss of over 20,000 of their workers from disease-infected jungles. President Theodore Roosevelt believed the completion of the canal was essential to American security and prosperity. So he negotiated with the French to purchase the canal's properties and dredging equipment. But when negotiations with Colombia over a canal treaty broke down, Roosevelt backed a local bloodless revolution that lasted only a few hours. And on November 3, 1903, the nation of Panama was born. With the opening of the Panama Canal, the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans were joined, reducing a ship's journey from New York to San Francisco by 9,000 miles. Roosevelt's vision made the canal a reality, and the feats helped make America a world power. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.